Hi guys, I wanted to do a little video today talking about adolescent dogs. So adolescence tends to hit for most dogs sometime between 7 to 9 months depending on your dog, and it can really last generally up to age 2. Some dogs it goes until age 3. But essentially the teenage years for dogs. So in this time, you'll see a lot of things. Dogs will hit sexual maturity. They'll generally be finishing up their growing, and they will experiment with their behaviors a lot. So this is a time when a lot of people surrender their dogs. Between 9 months to a year and a half is when most dogs are surrendered to shelters, because their behavior tends to slip. So even if you had a dog who was doing, let's say, okay on manners and basic obedience, a lot of times they will slip. They'll start not listening quite as much. They'll start doing naughty behaviors. They'll increase the intensity of it, such as stealing things, counter surfing, rushing the door, pulling on walks. Reactivity and aggression often comes out in this time frame, as well as resource guarding. Some puppies will show these behaviors too, but it's doesn't generally happen unless there is a genetic issue, or something else, like the dog is very feral. So training before dogs hit adolescence is super helpful. That means that your dog can be at a higher standard before they start to slip. So hopefully when they slip, they go from pretty good to okay, as opposed to okay to or bad. You already have established good communication with them. You've already established clear criteria for what you're looking for in a dog. And ideally, you already have good expectations set up with them. So you've already worked on recall. You've already worked on loose leash walking. Those things will often still slide, but it won't slide as much. Oftentimes, I don't trust adolescent dogs off leash unless they have demonstrated that they are worth trusting. I won't trust any dog off leash unless they are demonstrated that they're worth trusting, but especially dogs coming into adolescence. A lot of times we'll trust puppies because they want to come to their people. They're very attached to their people. As they get into adolescence and as they get into maturity, they start testing out with individualism a lot more. They start experimenting. They start exploring a lot more. This is normal. So watch your dog in this age. It's not a bad idea if you don't have a fenced-in yard, even if they were off leash before, to switch to a long line so that you still have some accountability for your dog. It could be a 50-foot long line, but that way if your dog decides to run off, they're still attached to you. This is a good time to start working on more management. So if you start noticing that your dog is sliding on behaviors, they're raiding the countertops, their potty training's regressing, whatever it is, it's okay to add more management. Having your dog on leash in the house, reasserting with them what you're looking for, having rewards available. We want to clear up the communication with our dog and say, hey, the thing that I was looking into before, that I wanted you to do before, that's still the same. I still want you to do these behaviors. If you have a dog who is an adolescent and you haven't done training, it's a good idea to start now, especially if you are having issues such as resource guarding. Those are things that you really need to work through with a professional. Even just starting off with marker training and being able to identify to your dog, hey, this is a behavior that I like, this is a behavior that I don't like. It's not worth a battle of wills with adolescents. More often than not, it's just like a 13-year-old kid, right? It's not worth the battle of wills. It is okay to increase your management. Every dog is going to hit adolescence differently. Our pitties tend to be a little bit more strong-willed, so adolescence with them can be a little bit harder. Taz hit adolescence really nicely, and in part that's because of who he is, but it's also because I set him up from such a young age with all the behaviors that I wanted. So he slid a little bit during adolescence, but it was pretty minimal, and we still got a lot of fun things that we got to do and a lot of freedom that he got to have during adolescence because he was set up so much. And then I just need to keep an eye on his behaviors and adjust accordingly. So being very proactive during adolescence is a good idea. Start watching their body language a little bit more. Start looking and making sure that they're not doing things. A lot of times they'll start things during 7 to 9 months and we'll think it's a fluke, and then it becomes a habit. So if they start doing things like counter surfing, keep your counters clear. If they start barking out the window, start doing the management and corrections, correcting that behavior, redirecting them, closing the curtains, whatever it is that you need to do, rewarding them for not barking out the window. but start setting them up for success. Because we don't want these new behaviors that they experiment with to become patterns. Same thing with stealing things. So setting your dog up for success in puppyhood and in adolescence is huge for long-term success of your dog. So I hope that helps. Good luck with setting them up for success. Again, if you have a puppy, definitely start working on getting their behavior to a really nice spot where you have good communication, a great recall, all these really nice behaviors established, such as manners at the door, basic listening skills, good greetings, nice walking on leash. That way when they slide a little bit with all of those behaviors, when they hit adolescence, it's not going to be that big of a deal, and then you can just redo what you have already done and adjust it so that your dog is like, oh, those are still the rules. Okay. It makes it so much easier for them to understand. A lot of times we let our puppies get away with murder, and then when they hit adolescence, all of a sudden we're like, hey, it's not cute. You're an adult now. I don't want you to do that. And they don't understand because we never had that clear communication and those clear expectations for them before, such as, I don't want you to pull on leash. I don't want you to rush and greet our guests. I don't want you to bark out the window. A lot of times we'll think that these are cute with puppies, but it becomes decidedly less cute when they become an adult. So good luck with that, and have a great day.